the entertainment highlight of the week.
Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good day.
Good evening.
Oh, goodness.
I'm going to Loch Ness you for that.
Oh, the Loch Ness game. The beginning of every Benji and Nick show.
It's a classic activity there, legend status. Do we know really how it's played? Not really, we just sort of do it.
There are secret rules that are secret even from us.
They're locked in a bunker somewhere in the middle of the earth.
No man's land.
No man's land.
No man's.
No man, Spider-Man. Welcome to the Benji and Nick Show, the show where we talk about cult television, TV from the past, TV from days gone by. You might have forgot, you might remember, and some you might just want to forget.
Oh, I've forgotten it.
I'm not Nick.
And I'm not Benji. Can you think of any that we'd want to forget?
What,
Escape into Night, you wanted to forget that,
yeah, I could
you?
easily forget Escape into Night.
The tripods I want to forget.
Oh, and I want to remember more of the tripods. There was something the other day that I watched that I thought I could forget this, but I can't remember now. Which is probably why, because I forgot it.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. As you probably know, there are three kinds of show we do. We do one where we discuss something that we've specifically set ourselves the task of watching in the interim between two podcasts. There's some where we do a commentary, but only Death to the Daleks and Revenge of the Cybermen so far, both Doctor Who stories, both featuring the music of Carrie Blyton.
Very much fans.
I make that noise every time. Stop. No, we're not doing the duck thing again. I'm doing it.
Not again.
And one where we talk about what we've been watching recently. That is the kind of show we're doing today. We also hopefully contact Jamie, son of Jerry Anderson, for no good reason, really.
Just sort of bother him, don't we, really, with questions, find out what he's doing, give him a chance to promote his wares. It's all good fun, his wares. It makes him sound like some peddler. Yes, I've got 3 vases, you see. Yes, this one's Ming.
It's like Ming, Ming, Emperor Ming.
Today's podcast is one in which we talk about what we've been watching.
I said that.
Oh, do you say that? Oh, well, there we go then. And now they definitely...
You're not listening to me.
I am. I'm just...
Is there a fault on the line?
Hello,
caller?
Hello, yes. Sorry. But first, we normally tackle the emails, don't we?
Oh, yeah. I sent you some emails, didn't I? Yeah, do you want to read that first one out?
Aye, boy.
It's your favourite subject.
Well, I hope so. Let's have a look here. This is from Neil Hackney. The subject is Lost, ... in Lost. And this was sent at 1656, fantastic year, and on the 15th of August 2019. Did anything happen in 1656? Let's have a look.
Look it up.
1656 year. Well, I can confirm that main events that happened that year.
Yes.
Treaty of Königsberg is signed. First Jewish doctor in the 13 colonies of America arrives in Maryland. Dutch capture a city of Colombo. Or should I say Colombo? I don't know why I said it weirdly.
Just one more thing.
The pendulum clock is invented. Just one more thing.
What was captured? Sorry, what was invented?
The pendulum clock.
Wow, that's significant, I think. I mean, not to be disrespectful for all the other things, but that hits me like a pendulum. Doing.
Doing. As well as that, the only English 50 shilling coin is minted.
There's just one?
It's just one, apparently, yeah. And there's the Battle of Warsaw, and a couple of people were born, and a couple of people died.
Who was fighting in the Battle of Warsaw?
Let me have a look for you. Battle of Warsaw. Was a battle that took place near Warsaw between the armies of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and Sweden and Brandenburg. It was a major battle in the Second Northern War between Poland and Sweden.
See, we don't know about stuff like that generally, do we?
No, well, loads happened, on the European sort of theatre.
Yes, welcome to History Today. The news is loads happened.
Lots happened. I mean, perhaps we should do a history podcast, because at the end of the day, you're never going to not find things to talk about, because there's so many
lots
days.
Of history, isn't there?
There's loads of history, and there's lots of days,
Well, we've done a cookery podcast. We could do a history one.
Yes, live from the British Library, with those white gloves that people wear to open books.
Yes, I've got this microphone. Is from the year 1232.
Is it?
Oh no, sorry, I bought it at 1232.
No, it cost you £12.32. That's right, yes. Twopence. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. I have just gone mad. Hello, chaps. Recently found you while searching for Day of the Triffids on my podcasts app.
Why would you do that?
Well, why not, quite frankly? Is
this from John Wyndham?
This is John Wyndham, yes. I wanted to know what happens. Have now gone back and listened to some of the episodes on my favourite shows. Triffids, Blake Seven, Robin of Sherwood, Chocky, and The Tripods, all of which I loved as a kid. Just talking about Lost at work, I thought I'd drop you a line to say that you should definitely do that as a programme. Wow. What an epic, crazy show. Was that Lost as in that was on like 20 years ago? I suppose.
I don't know, was it that long ago? Lost, it was such a huge thing. I watched the first episode of it.
Yeah, so did I.
It was broadcast and just thought, this is going to be irritating. But it went on, didn't it? And I'm not sure the makers of it ever really planned what was going to happen at the end.
It was very, very popular, wasn't it? I remember that.
Oh, it was a huge thing. It was huge. It was gigantic proportions.
Yeah, well, one to consider, certainly. Also, Battlestar Galactica, both the 80s and recent versions would be good suggestions, along with V, and one of my favourite Who episodes, which is Black Orchid. Yeah, not a bad one. Underrated, that one, I often think. Was seared into my memory as a kid. Think it was the breathing of George Cranley. Kept me awake many a night. Just my random thoughts. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Neil Hackney. Well, thanks for the recommendations, Neil. Plenty to go for there, certainly.
Yes, I'm really sorry that you selected a load of podcasts that they weren't hugely good reviews. I mean, obviously there was the Triffids disagreement between you and me.
I would say that in the order in which he reads them out, Triffids...
Oh, no, not the Triffids. Sorry, I love Triffids. No, I'm thinking Tripods. Sorry.
Well, in the order he reads them out, it sort of tracks the general... Triffids was hugely loved by us. Blake Seven,
yes.
Hugely, surprisingly loved by us.
Was it? Oh, wasn't it? Yes.
Robin of Sherwood was a mixed bag. Chocky was a no. And the Tripods you couldn't stand, which I loved. So I'd say that just shows perhaps we've just got more bitter as time has gone on.
Yes. Welcome to the Benji and Nick show.
I hate this! What is television? I hate it.
I'm not keen on doing Lost, but maybe I should bite the bullet. V. Now, of course, there was a modern version of V as well, wasn't there?
There was, yes, correct.
Which I did watch a bit of very late at night, because that's the only slot it could get in this country. And it was fairly inoffensive. The original, I wouldn't mind revisiting the original.
The original would be good fun. I like V.
Well, they did a miniseries, didn't they? A miniseries. And then they did a regular series as well, which I don't know how long that lasted for.
V is certainly one we should check out. And the original...
Black Orchid, what do you think of Black Orchid?
I like Black Orchid, actually. It's an underrated one. A weird one because it's only a two-parter compared to the normal four-part format. But I really enjoyed it because I felt it was actually a little bit different. Like that sort of old stately house sort of feeling and back in time, and everybody wearing different costumes, and it just had a bit of an edge to it, which I think is nice. It felt a little bit more sophisticated.
Well, it was John Nathan Turner being a bit experimental with episode lengths, wasn't he, there? And
I think it works. I would have liked to have seen more two-parters.
Yes, I think that now that two-parter length feels better. The speed at which you can tell a story. I remember at the time not being keen on it because it didn't have much sci-fi stuff in it, and it was just a sort of low-level murder mystery thing, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was nicely done, though, wasn't it? And everyone who was in it was fairly fond of it. I seem to remember.
It had a certain charm to it, I think.
I think they were outside dancing, doing the Charleston, and it was blatantly too cold for them to be doing it, and they were trying to look like it was summer. You could almost, Janet Fielding looked like she was shivering.
Yeah, it did look a bit parky, didn't it?
Matthew Waterhouse chomping at loads of food. They decided, I know, we've found a character trait. He eats a lot.
Yeah, that was very much shoehorned in, wasn't it? Because he changed a lot as time went on, didn't he? The first Adric story, he was a right little cheeky chappy, a bit of a rascal, and just suddenly becomes this incredibly sort of sedate mathematical genius.
Yes.
He was a bit of a governor, a bit of a geezer at the start. He ran off. He
was meant to be like the Artful Dodger, wasn't he? That was the sort of character brief.
And he ended up just being...
just a sort of an irritating spod, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah, there's a little... Well, yeah, quite. I think you summed it up, actually.
I mean, I feel bad because I think Matthew's a very nice man and a very good actor, and he's done some fantastic stuff for Big Finish. But I have to say that, back in the day, I was one of those who was not a fan of his. But you see, it's my age, you see. At that sort of age, you're a little bit resistant. You think you know best. I was in my early 20s at drama school, and you think you know best about everything, and you're far less accepting of things. And of course, I realise that there are thousands of Doctor Who fans who think of Adric in the same way I think of Zoe. Or, you know what I mean?
I think as well, I don't think it's down to...
That is to say, I like Zoe.
Yes, quite. I think it's down to... I don't think Matthew at all is the problem. I think it was just down to what, the material that they were given, really. I think he plays it how it's written, really, which is just... He's a young, clever kid who likes maths. But it's the same thing. I would respectfully
disagree with you.
I don't know, but I mean, it's like...
I think he's a really good actor now. I don't think it worked quite so well back in the day. Sorry about that weird drilling noise, folks. There's some carpet being fitted in the building.
The carpet. But I've always said that Nyssa was...
Matthew Waterhouse fitting a carpet.
Fitting Adric and co. But I've always said that Nyssa as a character is frightfully bland as well. There was just not that material given. Like Tegan was such a wonderfully sort of fleshed out, fun character that was really interesting, and definitely my favourite out of that TARDIS team. But Nyssa, I just felt there's so much potential there as this alien from another world, and there's just sort of, you do feel like Tegan got given the interesting lines, Nyssa got given the lines to get the plot going, and Adric sort of just did the sciencey bits for everybody, whilst Peter rushed around a lot. I think...
Yeah,
do you know
it's
what
always
I mean?
difficult writing for a big team of people.
Absolutely.
And I would suggest that it wasn't entirely successfully done. But yeah, I know what you mean. The actors, acquitted themselves perfectly. When I was writing for Space 1999 recently, suddenly having a huge crew, it's the first time I'd written something that had a big crew, and you do sort of you have to keep stopping and drilling down into who is this person and what are they like. Obvious questions, obviously, for a writer, because you can't have them just reporting facts all the time, or when they do report facts, you think, well, how would they do it? What little twist would they put on it? What would be their phraseology? Again, these are basic writing things, and any writers listening will be going, duh, Nick, yeah, you're talking about the craft of writing. But, there is a difficulty when there's lots of information to be got across by a huge team of people. You have to keep going through it and back over it to maintain the individuality of the characters, because in real life sometimes people do take on the role of a cipher to just give information. People do that in real life, and their personality becomes completely subsumed by that. But that can't happen in a drama. And you know what I mean? Otherwise, it just feels like the character has left the building.
Definitely. Well, it's like, a great example of that, I think, is of exactly what you were saying is in Blake 7, where all the characters were actually quite individual in their approach, and everybody there at their station doing what they do. You think, yeah, okay, I this is a completely different character with completely different attitudes and feelings and agendas. Whereas if you go into something else, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of something that is just, I suppose, that Doctor Who really is just fact giving. It sort of loses its touch, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Interesting. I suppose it's the way to think of it is someone working in a call centre. A lot of people working in a call centre just do the factual thing. They follow the process written out in front of them. But, you know, sometimes when you phone up a bank or something, that someone's got a little bit of personality and they just make your day a little bit nice. And so you have to think of, in a drama, that these people who are sitting at control desks reporting facts maybe make them like the good people in call centres who still you finish the call and you still have a sense of their personality, rather than some of them, they might as well just be recorded messages. I'm not blaming them because it's a really dull job and some people just get on with it efficiently. But I think you have to, in a drama, certainly an ongoing drama, you have to give people in those circumstances perhaps a little bit of excess personality.
So how ground down is somebody before they lose their personality?
I don't know what you mean. Next up, subject, Captain Scarlet, classic and new. It was sent at 21:06 in the future, that is, on the 18th of August. Dear Benji and Nick, loving the podcast. A great show to listen to every week. Oh, thank you very much, Jonathan Westall. I didn't mention your name because you've got a crazy email address that I didn't want to read out. I really enjoyed your Doctor Who commentaries. I'm sounding like a very old man, and hope you do another one very soon. 2 exclamation marks. A suggestion of shows you could watch and discuss are Captain Scarlet and the Mr. Runes.
The Macaroons.
The Macaroons, Mr. Ons, and new Captain Scarlet. It would be great for you to watch the first episode of the original series and the first 2 episodes of the CGI series, as the first story is a 2-parter, and hear your thoughts and comparisons on the 2 shows. Keep up the good work. Thumbs up emoji, Jonathan Westall. I quite like that idea.
That is a good idea, isn't it? It really shakes up the format a little bit.
I didn't like the new Captain Scarlet when I first saw it. Being a purist, but I've grown fond of it because I had to watch it a lot. Well, I didn't have to watch it. I bought it for Ben years ago, my son, and really rather enjoyed it.
I mean, I must confess, I've never really sat down and watched it sort of as a piece. But when it has been on, I've watched. You know, I've seen the odd bits of it, and I've always been quite impressed with it. You know, it is what it is. But I think as a CGI effort, I like I was saying, I like any television that takes itself seriously. And it does take itself seriously, and I hold great respect for TV that does that, I think. Whereas if it was silly and dumbed down, then I would have been horrified. But yeah, no, that is a really good idea, isn't it? We'll definitely have to do that.
Yes, log that one.
Log that in the book much. Of the good book. Dr.
Okay,
Goodman.
Benji.
Okay, well, the final email here is subject of this one is UK streaming service coming soon! ! And that is sent from Steve Craddock, who might be related to Jack Craddock from Dalek Invasion of Earth. Jack Craddock.
Definitely.
Yeah,
yes.
I think so, definitely.
Definitely, he's definitely related to that fictional character in a 1964 Doctor Who story.
Definitely. It's you know, there's no...
Unquestionable, that's
what I was going to say. It's from 1925, so it's entirely possible that in a few years... he might travel around. I'm just going on now. Sent on the 20th of the 8th, 2019. So 3 days ago from when we're recording this. 5 days from, if you're listening, on the day of release, that is.
It's like a mathematical genius.
Yes, but I've got my star. What ho, chaps. Just listening to your podcast of the 18th of August and your discussion regarding streaming services.
Yes.
Surely you must know of the imminent arrival...
Sure, he spelled it with like Shirley
Brilliant.
as well. Very good. Very funny.
The imminent arrival of BritBox UK, a joint venture between BBC and ITV. Large amounts of UK back catalogue are promised and will be the destination for things that fall off iPlayer, who have been dabbling with box sets already, and ITV Hub. Due to the launch in Q4 at $5.99. Interesting. That's the fourth quarter of the year. $5.99. Article and press release here. He sent a link. And also a link to the agreement. It says, hopefully the entire Doctor Who back catalogue will be available. Cheers, Steve.
That'd be good. Yeah, I might subscribe to that. Will there be adverts on it, though?
Well, that is the question, isn't it? I mean, I sort of begrudge anything that I pay for. I sort of feel like there shouldn't be adverts for because I pay for it. But I would be intrigued. You know, we've already got quite a lot of archive stuff anyway on Netflix and Prime, but I think what would give this the edge for me would be if they had some obscurities and harder to reach things and things that you can't necessarily buy on DVD. It's a bit like, you know, what I love about the UK TV app, which if you've got a smart TV or a PlayStation or something you can get, is that they've actually got some really obscure programs on there which I've not seen or heard of for years, including as well like the first 100 or 200 odd episodes of EastEnders right from the start. And it's things like that. It's like I would give my, you know, as I've said before, I'd love to have our old Corrie on BritBox and things like that. So if they can do things like that, that would really pique my interest. I mean, regardless, I'm going to pay $5.99 for it, no question about it. But for it to succeed, it should be different.
Well, during your speaking there, I will have edited out all the bashing around that's going on at this end with the carpets and Steph and Ben coming back from the shops. Yeah. Well, we shall. So next year, the final quarter of 2020, is that right?
Let's have a look.
Was it this year?
Hold on. No, it's this year.
Well,
broadcasters joining forces to set up a subscription service. It will cost $5.99 per month in HD, launching between October and the end of December.
Wow.
But like it says, you know, it says here, be arriving. Other existing series made available will be Victoria, Happy Valley, Les Mis, The Office and Benidorm, all of which are already on Netflix. Love Island will be on there, don't care about that. Gavin and Stacey, that's on Netflix. Gentleman Jack, don't even know what that is. Broadchurch, I think, is on there as well. It's certainly on one of the on-demand things. Peaky Blinders, it says there, already on Netflix. So you see,
presumably all the Netflix arrangements will be terminated.
Well, that's the only solution, I think. Yeah, it says Only Fools, Poirot, Midsummer Murders, all of that on Netflix. So they're going to have to pull it to make it worth people switching over, really. It says here it's not going to be a Netflix killer. It won't take over Amazon in any way. What it will be is an almost niche service alongside those two at best. That's what the US original... Who said this? Marketing analyst Tom Harrington says that.
Oh, Tom Harrington. Come in, Tom.
Come in, Tom, sit down. Tell us about this. Well, why people sign up for services is usually for new original content. It's the opposite for me. I want old, unoriginal content. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be good. Well, we shall watch with keen eyes and ears.
Yeah, cheers for that one, Steve. Food for thought. Bread for butter. So now, I suppose, the subject at hand is talking about what we've been watching.
Yeah, well, I sent you the artwork, didn't I? Colin Smith's artwork.
It's magnificent, as always. I just love the vast expanse that is Terence Hardiman's face on the cover. Wonderfully large, high-res image.
The Demon Headmaster. Oh. So come on, you talk about that.
I love the Demon Headmaster. Now, the first thing to say is it's coming back on the BBC, I think in the next few months, possibly
What, they're
weeks.
repeating it?
No, they're doing a new series.
Is Terence in it?
This is it. I don't know. I would be surprised because he's getting on a little bit now.
He is. He's a fantastic actor and such a lovely man.
He's absolute icon with this. Yeah. You know, with this role as well. He makes it, but I'll go on to that one more. But yeah, they're so it's being rebooted, and Emma Reeves, who's done some Big Finish stuff, is behind it. She's penning it, so that's going to be really interesting. And I don't know. I assume it would be a man if they were to cast the Demon Headmaster, because the Headmaster indicates a man as opposed to I don't know. I suppose I've grown up with the idea of a headmistress being the female equivalent, but I suppose
they could call it the demon head teacher.
The demon.
So
I do know that
changing
it's no longer a school and it will be an academy.
Of course. Well, an academy is, as you know, I like to pronounce things strangely.
Very different of you.
An academy is just a stupid name for a school that the government cooked up in the political football that is education.
Yeah.
This is what I think of governments and education.
Summed up perfectly there, I think, and I completely
hypocritical, meddlesome nonsense is my view. Just trying to do things to make people vote for them.
It's all
horrid.
Just a popularity
and every
contest,
political party has done it. Oh, it's horrible. Makes me sick.
And
it makes
ill.
The best teachers leave the profession as well. That's the awful thing.
Well, I think teachers should be paid more anyway, but not at this school. Because the Demon Headmaster was a fantastic series it was in the early mid 90s, I would say. Started in 1996, but I love it. The original series is up on iPlayer at the moment, the first 6 episodes, and I love it because Terence makes the program. Terence and the music make the program for me, because you've got Terence who plays this sort of headmaster who's borderline megalomaniac / sort of Nazi, who's everything he says is like this: you are feeling very tired.
And he has a sort of glowing circular effect on his eyes, doesn't he?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I have a confession to make. I'm the wrong age group, so I caught bits of it and thought, oh, this looks good for a kid's series, but I was a grown-up and so I never followed it, really. So what is the basis of the story? Why does he have these sort of weird superpowers?
Well, basically, it all turns around that he is never quite explained as to why he has these powers, but he is hell-bent on ruling the world, and that's what he wants to do. And,
obviously.
And so he takes over a school, but of course, by doing it, he sort of turns it into his own private sort of army / facility. So all the students are completely subservient. He can get them to do all computer stuff and,
Does he have enemies who are trying to thwart him? Are they heroes?
Yes, so basically the idea is that everybody at the school is under this hypnotised bubble, including the teachers and the prefects. But there's a group of kids who have formed...
Plucky kids.
Who have formed their own group called Splat, which stands for... what does it stand for? Because it means something important. Demon Headmaster, Splat meaning... Splat stands for the Society for the Protection of Our Lives Against Them. Splat. and they're the kids that they are not susceptible to this hypnotism.
Why is that?
I don't know why. They're just not. But a young girl, Dinah, is the adopted daughter of these two brothers in the Splat group, but she is susceptible, but she teeters on the edge of she's under the influence, but she knows deep down that it's bad, and so she can kind of shake it off a little bit. But it's about them trying to basically thwart this headmaster. But it's just done so brilliantly.
Yes, I thought it was a nice bit of work, the bits I saw.
And the kids, they're very young, and they're acting, especially in the first series, they're acting as what you'd imagine from kid to acting. But there are a couple of standout performances.
Is that bad, do you mean?
Pretty uninspiring. But you kind of, because of the product and because of the way in which it's presented, you kind of don't mind, because it's just very good. And by series 2, it's a much more sophisticated production.
How many series did they make?
3 series. 3 series.
Of how many episodes each?
I think 6 episodes each.
Okay, so a modest British affair. Is it all on video and on studios and video location work, that sort of thing?
It's all on tape. It was the mid-90s, so it's tape that looks sort of reasonably sophisticated. The real standout thing for me is that the music of the series is a radiophonic workshop job. So it's that.
Who did it?
It was by an individual. Hold on. I'm really going for it with knowing all these names, but he's one of. But the thing is, I can name you the radiophonic workshop back in its day, but when it gets later on, I don't know the people so much towards the late stage. Richard Attree. So the music was by Richard Attree, but it's fantastic because it all uses lots of kind of
a tree.
A tree. He is a tree, but it's all wonderful, kind of lots of things sort of swirling around, and the theme music is just iconic, really.
God, I don't even know the theme tune.
Put it up, get it on YouTube, and have a listen, Nick, because it's good. You'll like all the.
Okay, right. Demon Headmaster theme tune. I'm typing in. Oh, here it is straight away. Oh. It's great.
It's quite good. It's a bit X-Filesy.
Absolutely, it's echoing the X-Files, isn't it? It's nice. It's just the kind of theme tune I'd compose, to be quite frank.
It's exactly what you'd expect, but it's very good, isn't it? And
on the end,
it's sort of eerie and weird.
Someone has said to him, "Can it be a bit X-Filesy?" Oh yeah, I'll get that sound.
Exactly, but it's a very good production, and I for ages I remember myself and Joe Smith and Tom Saunders of Big Finish had this dream that Big Finish would one day do it. We always wanted to do the Demon Headmistress with we really wanted Louise Jameson to be the Demon Headmistress. It would work. So we just think that she'd absolutely just eat that role up and be incredible.
She would. She'd be amazing. Well, she'd be amazing at anything.
She would be amazing at anything.
She's just one of those actors.
But of course, at least we called something, because it's now going to be back on the telly and hopefully terrifying another generation. I'd love Terence to come and do it, because just if you get a chance...
Couldn't he be the Demon Headmaster's boss or something?
He has to have a cameo, doesn't he? You are doing very well. I love this thing as well. Like the kids come home and they say things like, "Did you have a nice day at school?" And the parents and the kids will go, "Yes, I had a fantastic day. The headmaster is a marvellous man, and it is the best school I've ever been to." "What did you do today?" "We watched a programme on how ants make their nests. It was very interesting. I can't remember what else happened."
We tried to conquer the world again this week.
That's exactly it, though. It is it. Oh, it's so good, so good.
Does he get foiled, and does he sort of go, "Oh, splat, I'll splat them"?
He gets foiled in the third episode of the first series, which is arguably the worst episode. I loathe that episode with a passion. But then suddenly, he ends up, it just gets really good. But the third episode, Write It Off, is terrible, but if you get through that, he then ends up in this weird sort of computer building where it's called Super Salamander, and he creates a computer game, and if the kids can beat this computer game, they get recruited into this elite group, Super Salamander, and they don't know what it is. They think they're going to get some prize, but it turns out to be his facility where they have to hack into the Prime Minister's computer to get him to gain entrance to Downing Street, because if he gains entrance, he can just hypnotise everybody in there. "You will make me the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. I will make..." Yeah, it's ludicrous but great fun.
And does he get his comeuppance in the end? Do his super spectacles explode? I'm glad I didn't say testicles.
Well, to ruin the ending, he ends up being catapulted in the air in a helicopter, and then landing in a facility. They can't kill him, even though they loathe him, they can't bring themselves to kill him off,
because it's children's television.
So they just sort of send him flying, but he ends up landing in a genetic institute for research of biogenetics, and so that sets up series 2, where he then...
Yeah, but what happens at the end of series 3? That's what I'm saying.
I've not got there yet. I can't remember. It's years ago.
Oh, so we don't know whether he's defeated.
Well, he definitely can't be defeated, because they did a million different books.
Okay.
They're still writing books now.
Oh,
really? He does a lot. Yeah, it's a big hop seller, Demon Headmaster.
Really?
Yeah.
So they use Terence Hardiman's face on the front, or have they gone to something different?
I think they did in the 90s, but I think now they... it's so long ago, wasn't it?
Yes. I suppose the 90s were. Okay, there we go. I've learnt a lot. What are the other things we're talking about? What's on the cover?
Another Life, Yesterday, Duty Free.
Well, let's do Another Life. Have you seen it?
I've not, no.
It's on Netflix. And it sounds like the electricity is going to be cut off any second now. Yeah. Steph? I've just heard him say, is it okay to disconnect everything and turn everything off?
Oh, God. I'm not going to be around this afternoon. That's the only problem.
But how long is it going to... Steph?
Hello, are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, how long will you be?
Well, half an hour.
Oh, okay. He needs to turn the electricity off.
Well, how long for?
Half an hour or so.
So, hello, Jamie.
Hello, Nick Briggs. What is going on?
Yeah, I know. We were meant to call you, but now you're actually in the podcast.
Well, thank you very much for inviting
me. Properly. Yeah. Well, because it's a little bit... There was a sort of... a feeling of, Mum, I'm making a film in my bedroom. Because I was like doing the podcast in the bedroom here, and then Steph came in to tell me that the power was being turned off.
Oh.
And Benji only had limited availability. He's recording an EP this afternoon with his band.
Is he? That's exciting. Do you know what the title of it is?
No. So I'm looking. I said I'm looking forward to hearing it, but basically he disappeared, and that was it. So I hollered for help to you.
Gosh, well, I'm happy to be your silver medal.
Well, this edition of the Benji and Nick show was about what we've seen on TV recently, and we also did some emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. I'm mentioning that now because I didn't mention that email address, podcast@nicholasbriggs.com, which I always forget to do.
Right.
And then wonder why no one emails. You should to tell them.
You should correct that. podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
That's it. You've got it. Actually, people do email, so that's all right. There's running around noises now. I don't know. Ben is going to run in at any minute and saying, "Daddy, are you still recording?" A bit stressed. Suddenly got a pain in my gallstones. Can stress cause that?
Probably, yeah. Oh, I've got a terrible pain in my gallstones. Oh dear.
I think I have some ginger beer. Hold on.
Oh, nice. Oh, it's very cloudy, that ginger beer.
I know, it looks a bit suspect, doesn't it? Anyway, funnily enough, one of the three things left to discuss. We did the Demon Headmaster.
Oh yeah, which I watched it when I was a kid, but I think I was slightly too old for it, and it was that period in one's kind of early adolescence where you start going, "Oh, as a kid show, I'm watching that," and so it was mildly appealing, but not quite enough to draw me in as a grumpy teenager.
Yeah, I was massively too old, obviously. So
obviously. Yeah, but you looked at me as if, you're like, youngish. You might have watched it. That's the look you were giving me, and I had to say no,
that was
sorry.
The look.
Yeah.
That's quite a complex look. I'm glad I can convey that in a facial expression.
You engaged acting. It was very impressive.
I don't know what that one was. Yeah, so Benji just told me all about it because I didn't really know anything about it. But the other three things were Duty Free, Another Life, which I know you've seen some of.
I have, yes.
And Yesterday, the movie.
Which you recommended to me yesterday, strangely.
What? It's crazy. Yes, it's all serendipity.
Yeah.
That's not the right word, actually.
No, but duty free.
Yeah, do you know duty free?
That rings a bell. I mean, it sounds like a rubbish sitcom set in an airport.
Well, I think the first two words were right, but it's so not famous anymore. You write in duty free, and you get lots of details about. I have to put duty free sitcom.
Duty free rubbish sitcom. You have to put in.
I think that will come up shortly. Yeah, TV series. Yes, is about two British couples, David and Amy Pearce and Robert and Linda Cochran, who meet while holidaying at the same Spanish hotel in Marbella, and the interruptive affair conducted by David Pearce and Linda Cochran during their break. Another recurring character is the hotel waiter, Carlos.
Sounds a bit like a racist one, that one.
Yeah, when was it? It was 1984.
So this is like a proto-Benidorm, essentially, is it?
Do you know, I confused the two of them for that reason. And I've never really seen Benidorm either. 86 it went on to, so it went to 1986. It had Keith Barron in, who I had the pleasure of working with many years later. Keith Barron, Gwen Taylor. No.
I'm waiting for a name to mean something to me, but they don't.
Do you not know who Keith Barron is?
I'm rubbish with names and actors, though, until I've seen their face or I'm watching something with them in right now. But otherwise,
Gwen Taylor was very famous.
Right.
When you have to tell people that, it probably means they're not.
Well, no, but I'm not a good barometer for fame.
Okay. And also, just a little note here. I don't know, Joanna van Gisegem.
Beautifully pronounced there.
Yeah, I don't. Gyseghem. I mean, that's
made up.
Yeah. That's like a typing error, isn't it? And Carlos the waiter, which is the name of his character, Carlos the waiter,
great,
was played by someone called Carlos Douglas.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well,
Douglas doesn't sound like a very Spanish surname, though. So
no.
I imagine it was a hammy Spanish accent going on.
Yeah, there's no Wikipedia link to Carlos Douglas, so we don't know anything about him.
That is a great shame.
Gwen Taylor is still alive. She's
the best thing I can say about Gwen Taylor is still alive.
She's been active since 1972, it says, even though she was born in 1939. I don't know. That seems odd.
I'm looking up. Is any of it on YouTube?
Oh, undoubtedly.
I'm looking it up now just to see if it rings any. Oh, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in fact, the first thing you can see is a full episode of the season 1, episode 1 on YouTube, followed by former star of 1980s sitcom Duty Free, Keith Barron, dies aged 83 from a year ago. Wow. So a really cheery YouTube search there. Oh, yeah, it looks terrible. What a great title sequence.
Well, it was very popular.
Yeah, but there wasn't much on in those days, was there?
And I think Benji likes it, so that's why we're mentioning it. He'd been watching it out of choice. Now, the other thing I randomly knew about it because I just happened to happen upon one of those archive clips, comedies of yesteryear sort of shows.
Yeah, happenstance.
I'm sure it wasn't common. Yes. Eric Chappell, the writer, was on there saying, yeah, I've never even been to Spain, so I just wrote... So he just made a lot of stuff up. And I must say that the clips I've seen, that's what it looks like. It looks like a load of made-up rubbish. But, the studio audience seemed to screech with great... what's the word I'm looking for?
Desperation. To escape.
Alacrity.
Alacrity.
Yeah, that's a word that Tom Baker uses. It means eagerness, liveliness, enthusiasm, or promptness, speed, great alacrity.
Tell you a fascinating fact about Alacrity.
Yes.
Alacrity was the company name of the plumbing company that used to service the boiler in a property I rented previous to where I live now.
Hold the front page. Oh my God.
Somebody call the Daily Mail immediately.
These things. This is what podcasting is all about.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Delivering nuggets of pointless rubbish.
Well, I think we can't say anything else about Duty Free. I have a vague recollection of it being rubbish. You have a new perception of it
being rubbish.
So Benji will just have to listen to this. Not that he ever listens to the podcast.
No, of course not.
He does his participation and leaves and goes and makes an EP.
Yeah, well, good for Benji. I hope it goes well. Yeah, and I'm just looking at some of the exterior stuff, which is all obviously studio.
Yes.
They
never went to Spain.
And I kind of want to watch it out of a morbid fascination now, but it doesn't look like it's going to enthrall me. Who knows?
No. I mean, Benidorm, did they shoot that in Benidorm?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that was the attraction there, wasn't it? But I must say, when I became aware of Benidorm, I just thought, oh, that looks like that awful thing, duty free, which is why I never watched it.
No, from the kind of 90 seconds of stuff I've seen of duty free, Benidorm is definitely an upgrade. Although that's not saying a lot.
No, I mean, it had Sheridan Smith in it occasionally, and it had Steve Thingamy from the League of Gentlemen.
Yes,
the one League of Gentlemen person I don't know, really. Never. Oh. But it's a nice fellow by all accounts. Once turned down a part I offered him.
Really?
Against him.
I can tell you another fascinating fact.
Yes.
Are you ready for this one?
Is it Boiler related?
No, it's Steve Pemberton related.
Steve Pemberton, I've forgotten his surname.
Yes,
sorry.
and
sorry, Steve. Multi-award winning.
And Reese, is it?
Reese Shearsmith.
Yeah, so there are two of them right inside number 9, right?
They do.
But did you know that they write inside number 9 at the home of the daughter-in-law of Denise Breyer, also known as Zelda from Terrorhawks?
Wow.
She rents them a little room under her stairs where they do all the writing.
Wow. Yeah. It's not number 9, is it?
It's not, no.
Because that would be very Reese to want to write it at number 9 somewhere. He would like that.
No. Yeah. I'm slightly nervous of giving away the number in case somewhere else I've given away the rest of the address, but it's not 9, sadly.
And is it quite a spooky, damp, dank, horrible room? And there's my son just arrived.
Hi, Ben. What's he drinking?
He's trying to make a slush.
It didn't work, but this still works.
He's now eating icebergs of slush with a spoon.
Nice.
And splashing it all over the floor.
It looks delicious.
So if you tip the glass like that, the liquid will come out. Have you learnt that sort of thing at school?
God, physics lesson there from Nick Briggs, everyone.
Yeah. Well, are you leaving anytime soon? You're going to get a cloth. Okay.
You
can come and be in the podcast if you like. You just won't be able to hear what Jamie says because he's on my earphones.
Social airs and graces of Nick Briggs there. Are you thinking of leaving anytime soon?
Great parenting skills.
Yep.
He's just standing at the doorway looking at me.
More podcast gold right here.
Still there. Maybe it's just a ghost. Maybe I don't have a son. Maybe I just imagined him. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about... Should we talk about yesterday?
Yes. Today.
What do you understand yesterday to be about, Jamie?
I understand it to be a story about a man who remembers the Beatles and nobody else does, and he takes advantage of that by pretending he wrote the songs, basically, although probably not willingly immediately.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing about the film, the moral dilemma in it. But that is essentially it. Yes. The world goes dark for 12 seconds.
That's the event, is it, at the start?
All the power cuts out and he gets run over.
Right.
Gets knocked off his bike, and when he wakes up in hospital, he makes some reference to a Beatles song, and his manager just says, he says, will you still feed me? Will you still need me when I'm 64? She goes, why 64? And he goes, what? And then later on, he plays Yesterday to them on a guitar.
Which is the trailer piece, I think.
And she goes, that's beautiful. When did you write that? He's, I didn't write it, did I? And then none of them know about the Beatles. But anyway, just to spoil two great jokes in the film.
Yes.
It's Ben snuck in with some kitchen roll here.
What a relief.
There's no point mouthing things on a podcast, Ben, because the microphone doesn't pick up that.
The percussive flaps of the lips from which we can hopefully...
is that he discovers two other things don't exist in this new world. One is cigarettes.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
And the other one is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter?
Ben came to see it with us.
Very good.
In the luxury Odeon seats that cost £14 each.
You fancy
It
people.
was worth it. You get to put your legs up.
Oh, well, he was happy.
Good, I'm glad. So you've ruined a lot of the elements now.
Yes.
I mean, does it?
But it was good.
Does it reset in the end?
I won't tell you any more.
Oh, come on!
You've got to leave something. You know, they may or may not all be massacred by killer robots.
Brilliant. One can hope. Oh, Ben's just giving it away there by mouthing it to me. Mouthed the entire ending. Ah. Thanks, Ben.
But it's a great feel-good movie, and I know that sends a lot of people
rushing to the bathroom.
Yes, the sick bucket.
Yeah.
But it was good, you know. Richard Curtis, good writer.
Yeah. Can I ask a question which you may want to edit out because of the nature of what I'm about to say to you?
Oh no.
When you unexpectedly need to be sick, what is and where is your go-to receptacle? Because a lot of people I know have like such a visceral subconscious reaction. Some people like try and get outside or lean out a window. But I always gravitate towards the kitchen sink for some reason, which seems bizarre. Wow. It is not a good place to put that.
Even if you're in a restaurant.
Yeah, especially if I was in a restaurant.
Well, let's try and keep this as undisgusting as possible for sensitive listeners.
Yeah.
But I can think of 2 occasions when I was quite ill. And one was in an Indian restaurant. I was suffering from massive exhaustion. It turned out probably to be problems with my heart. But I went unconscious for a short amount of time, and when I regained consciousness, I was feeling very nauseous and immediately knew that I had to do that thing that we're not going to mention too much first. Yeah. And the Indian waiters presented me with a poppadom basket. Which, of course, has lots of holes in it. Yeah. And as they presented it to me, and the need was quite imminent, why are we talking about this, by the way?
I can't remember. There was a reason, but it's...
Okay.
I'm so into the conversation.
And I kind of indicated to them in my nausea, the kind of like, you know, are you serious? And they kind of went, oh, God, yeah. So they quickly ran into the kitchen and they came back with there used to be, I don't know whether they still make it, but a butter substitute called Utterly Butterly.
Yeah.
And they brought the very smallest kind. I don't know what a restaurant's doing with a tiny... You'd think a restaurant would have a huge catering vat of Utterly Butterly. But no, this was like the smallest, shallowest Utterly Butterly container. Now, they put in front of me... I'm lying on the floor by now, you see. They've brilliant. Because I've collapsed onto the floor. And so... and as the act occurred, I was heard to say, "Utterly Butterly." And the other time was when I relatively recently was rushed to hospital with gallbladder problems, and they pumped me full of morphine and stuff. And I started to leave feeling quite good, and Steph and Ben were about to turn up in a car. And I went into the waiting room just to wait for them to turn up, picked up my medication, and suddenly was overcome by intense nausea. And I quickly... And the only thing I could see was a recycling bin, but I thought Ben's just showing me a huge iceberg of Pepsi. He's been obsessing about making this slush all day. The power cut played havoc with the freezing aspect because we forgot about it, and it was too frozen. And so I thought I can't be sick in the recycling thing.
It'll make it all unrecyclable.
I don't know whether vomit is recyclable.
Probably not, no.
Ben's finding... Oh, now my computer's gone completely crazy. I'm going to have to restart my computer. Don't worry, not the one I'm recording with. So, and then I said, "Where's the loo?" to all these, you know, people in waiting... hospital waiting rooms are not... Thank you, computer. Are not, you know, full of... particularly lively people.
No.
You know what I mean? They're all
deathly
suffering. Hold on, I'm just typing in my password.
Which, funnily enough, is nausea.
Nausea 52. and nobody knew where the loos were, and I again, like the utterly buttery thing in my nausea, I was kind of like, and then I suddenly saw a loo, but it was they had a specific children's loo.
Oh no!
And it was just one cubicle, and without even checking, I just threw the door open and literally had to throw myself across the floor and grab hold of the very small
child
toilet. No, but I just thought there could have been a kid in there. You know what I mean? Oh, it was just awful. So, but anyway, yes, I immediately. And felt a lot better afterwards. So those are the two receptacles. Yes, utterly butterly and a children's loo.
Brilliant. This is the Nicholas Briggs Vomcast.
Coming straight at you rather unpleasantly.
Like, what does my mother call it? A Technicolor yawn. That's it, yeah.
Oh, does she say that?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Goodness me. I look at your mother in a completely different light now.
Yes. I could tell you other stuff that would change that light yet again, but let's skate across this puddle of sick.
Another life.
Yes. Another life.
Could you explain what it is for the listeners?
I can try. I mean, essentially, a UFO appears and it's
a science fiction series. That's the first thing.
Oh, sorry.
On Netflix.
It's a science fiction series on Netflix in which a UFO appears and it's all crystalline and stuff, and then it embeds itself in the earth, and they're trying to work out what it does and what it's for, and that they kind of follow a signal back to somewhere. But it feels like, to me, a big mashup of everything one has already seen in a variety of science fiction shows over decades, and some of the characters are really annoying to the point where I found myself covering my face with a cushion from time to time. Is that unfair?
No, I really wanted to like it because it's got Katie Sackhoff in it, who used to be Starbuck in the revamped Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
Did you know that?
I was vaguely aware of that, yes.
But she's... Ben is now listening, and all I can hear is him breathing heavily in my ear.
I can see him breathing heavily.
You going to say anything? You haven't seen it. It's very adult. We couldn't show it to Ben.
No, it's not Ben worthy.
No,
my friend Kevin Grazier, who we recently interviewed on the Jerry Anderson podcast, was science advisor on it, so we shouldn't be too rude about it. Obviously, the science is spot on.
Well, there's lots of exotic particles in it. We're not that unfamiliar with ourselves.
This is absolutely true.
Oh, he's putting the thing back in my ear.
Ooh, not too deep, Ben.
Sorry.
Sorry. You going? What about your Pepsi?
I'm coming back.
Oh, okay, he's coming back.
Other colas are available.
Sainsbury's, Tesco's. Oh, dear. I've got to get some sponsorship out of this.
Pepsi will be gagging to sponsor you after the vomit chat. Oh, dear.
Bring it up with Pepsi. Yes, but she's had what I would like to call she's been on a TV diet. So she's sort of painfully skinny now. Well, which is what all TV actors do, because it's true. All of us normal people just look fat as hell on television.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a particularly overweight person. I might be just a bit above what a doctor would want me to be. I don't know. And yet on screen, I look like Mr. Fatso. Hello, And so these. So she is clearly, since Battlestar Galactica, gone on a heavy regime of exercise and only eating
dust,
small vegetables.
Yeah. Yes.
And she really, there's real heart in her performance, and I really feel she's engaged in it. But I feel awful saying this, but it's slightly too much.
Yeah.
It's like someone needs to say, we know you mean it, Katie. You just need to be don't wear your heart on your sleeve quite so much. It's slightly overdone, her performance. I feel awful saying that because
you're right.
I love a bold performance.
But I think they're at opposite ends of the spectrum, which makes it worse. So it's either people giving too much or others not giving it nearly enough.
Yes.
And so that it kind of really shows the other up and makes it hard to really get into.
And the narrative is split between Earth and her husband trying to solve the dilemma of the alien artifact, and her on a spaceship heading towards where the alien artifact has apparently come from.
Yes,
isn't it? And and I always find it frustrating. Obviously, this is the way modern series, particularly American ones, work. You know, they cut away just at the point where you want to know something else, obviously to keep you waiting.
Yeah.
And the episodes sag in the middle quite dreadfully. And then in the last 5 minutes, they give you a montage of really exciting things, which make you watch the next episode. Because you think, oh, this has been boring me to death. But actually, now I'm quite interested. Yeah. And they do this every episode. And you wonder whether they actually sit round in the writer's room and discuss this. Like, right, this is the bit that's really boring, that will make people want to hang themselves. And then... And then Ben's loving this, and it's worse having an audience. It just encourages me.
Oh, I can tell.
and now we'll just make them think it's worth watching right at the end, and you know,
it's a bit like fishing, I suppose. You get there and you cast the thing, and it's fine. Then it's really boring, and then just as you think, oh, I'm going to give up on this, you catch a fish. There's all that excitement, and then you think, oh, I know I've wasted an hour, but that was exciting, so... And then repeat.
I think it's a fair analogy.
Thanks, yeah. I mean, a lot of fishermen out there would disagree with me, but...
Well, we have a lot of fishermen listening in. Big on the trawlers, we are. Yeah.
Really?
The Benji and Nick show, just there, hauling in the catch.
I'm not sure...
Hold on, it's just another interesting email sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
Trawler fishing was not what I was expecting. No. I was more thinking, Paul Whitehouse and Bob Mortimer's Gone Fishing or whatever it's called. That.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going for some. I think they're more likely to listen to the Benji. The idea is that real roughneck trawlers who've spent all their lives being lashed by the ocean. The idea of them saying, "Well, man, I'm going to listen to the Benji and Nick show." I don't know why they're from Newcastle. That's the toughest accent I could think of.
It was a great one. I'm sure
much.
Nobody from Newcastle or South Shields would be offended by what you just did.
Hold on, the emails are flooding in. Yeah. So I don't know whether when we do these, what you've been watching recently, whether we give them exclamation marks. I can't remember. But I would say Benji gave Demon Headmaster 5 exclamation marks, and who are we to argue?
I'm happy to go with his expert opinion on the matter.
Duty free, none.
No.
Well, 1 for turning up.
Yeah, 1 for turning up. Perfect.
Yesterday, between 4 and 5 exclamation marks.
I may see that tomorrow, based solely on your recommendation, because that wasn't on my to-watch list.
Listen, mate, it's a bit soppy and it's quite predictable.
That's fine.
So don't think too ill of me.
I couldn't think any more ill of you.
I mean, have you seen Chalet Girl?
No.
That's my guilty pleasure, the one that I love. And Billie Piper was appalled that I like Chalet Girl. She said it's just a stupid teenage girls movie. Right.
Well, I'll let you know how many exclamation marks I end up giving yesterday when I go and see it.
What are we giving Another Life?
Do you give halves?
Yeah.
Give it 3.5.
Oh, 3.5. Wow.
Because of the scale and the scope of what they're trying to do, and some elements which are very successful. But it's. Do you know what I mean? I would feel bad giving it less than 3.
Wow.
Because of what they're trying to do, but the execution.
I was going to give it 2.
There.
Because when I've got to the point in the plot, I can't remember what happens now, but there was a particular point that it just all became so irritating, I just couldn't watch it anymore.
I haven't got there, that's why. We were discussing this, weren't we? But you said, oh, there's this thing X episodes in, and I was like, oh, I'm 4 episodes behind that, so that's why I'm still at... Would you have been at 3.5 before that event?
Yes.
There we go, then. That
By
explains
episode 3, I was at 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got really fond of it and then fell out of love with it massively.
Gosh. Well, there we go. Only watch the first 3 episodes of Another Life, folks.
Well,
and
I will go back eventually.
That via Netflix's algorithm will then kill the series and it won't be recommissioned. So nice.
As we have the power. I feel bad.
So you
it's
should.
There was another sci-fi thing, a similar thing with a load of people going on a mission, wasn't there?
Night Flyers.
Yeah,
Is that what it was
which
called?
is a series based on a really appalling 80s movie or something.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean, the opening 10 minutes was really incredibly violent, and then
Yes.
after that, I sort of lost the will to watch any more, to be honest.
Yes. That creaking noise is Ben trying to move quietly around my bedroom. But
Never works.
There's no quiet way to move around this. The floor creaks like
Well,
heck.
unless he can levitate.
Can you levitate, Ben?
Not by the sounds of it, no.
He's now standing in the laundry basket. That doesn't count as levitate. I think he's been miseducated about levitation. That someone said levitation is standing in a laundry basket. He's getting into the wardrobe. This is going to end in tears. I don't think that wardrobe can take your weight. We don't have very expensive furniture here.
Crash,
That'll
bang.
be the wardrobe having to take your weight.
Can you insert some comedy sound effects now?
And an ambulance noise.
I'm floating.
Don't think you are.
He's off to Narnia. Bye, Ben.
So yeah, I'm going to give it two exclamation marks.
Fine.
I would say there's one other thing I've been watching on Netflix, which is Mindhunter. Have you seen that?
I watched the first 15 minutes, but it was on a day when I was really knackered.
Of the first series?
Yeah, and I fell asleep.
Oh, it's very violent.
Well, I fell asleep through the violence. I can't even remember. So
You get invested in the characters of the 2 investigators. It's about FBI people discovering the notion or evolving the notion of serial killers.
okay.
That's people who kill cornflakes, Ben. Okay, bye-bye.
Isn't there a cafe in Shoreditch called the Serial Killer Cafe, which is just cereal?
Really?
I believe so. It may have closed now, but that was definitely a thing. I remember seeing a news article about it.
Goodbye, Ben.
Bye, Ben. The Serial Killer Cafe. Gosh, there's 2. Colourful, nostalgic eatery with more than 120 cereals, plus a selection of milk and toppings.
Oh. Sounds right up your Strasser.
Thank you.
When I told you I had those Crunchy Nut cornflakes.
Oh, yes.
They're so bad. They're not called Crunchy Nut cornflakes anymore, are they? They're just called Crunchy Nut.
Is that not all right?
Well, I mean, when did they take the word cornflakes out and why?
Well,
Write into podcast@nicholasbriggs.com with your theories.
petition Parliament at the return cornflakes to the Crunchy Nut brand name.
Exactly. There's
petition
nothing else important going on in parliaments.
in the world. No,
In the world.
No, I don't have a problem with that because I think it just became a bit of a thing to call them Crunchy Nut because that's that's what they are.
When I
Crunchy
stopped
with
eating them
nuts
along,
on.
I went through a period when I was people would talk about my friends would talk about Crunchy Nut cornflakes because of me. It was a big thing.
I was going to say nobody talks about Crunchy Nut with their mates.
Well,
Unless you're
I'd
friends
go
with
to
Nick
stay with
Briggs.
people and they'd go, "Don't worry, Nick, I bought some Crunchy Nut cornflakes." It was like, "Oh, Nick always likes his Crunchy Nut corn." I was very much like would always just eat one particular thing for a long time and then change my mind about it, like cheese sandwiches every day,
Not
cheese
anymore.
sandwiches and milkshake and that sort of thing. Funny that I got fat. So I think we've dealt with everything.
Yeah. Oh, but you say Mindhunter's good. I might try that. And I've been watching Gotham.
Oh, right. I don't like the idea of that.
Do you not? Why?
No. Well, it's because it's like Batman without Batman. And I'm not very fond of Batman apart from the 1960s
But
series.
it's the genesis of Batman. That's the thing, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's actually, I really enjoy it. It's got
Okay.
a lovely dark comic book sensibility to it. Although there are several plots which just get reused again and again and again, and there are only so many times you can forgive, especially in a series, the moment when somebody has a chance to kill another character, and for whatever reason they don't go through with it. You know,
Right.
no, I'm going to make you wait. Let's take him to the docks and do it there.
I think, he's going to get away now.
Yeah, exactly. And so there are a few things that are overused, but overall, it's in fact it's a bit like Crunchy Nut, very Moorish.
And very bad for you.
Yeah, that too. No, I've really enjoyed Gotham. I thought it was going to be trashy and not very interesting, and actually, it's good.
On your recommendation, I'll have a look at that. But I mean, that whole thing about whether things should be, how predictable should things be, and how should everything be a surprise. That's a whole dilemma about stories, isn't it? Really.
But is it not just a bit of both? Is what you want?
Yeah, but it's a question of interesting. I mean, for example, in the second series of Mindhunter, which is why I've gone back to it. I went back to it and then realised that I hadn't finished the first series. At the moment, there are so many different plots ramping up everywhere, different things, different cases going on. I don't know whether any of them will relate, or whether, and so many characters are lying to other characters and everything. You think, is everything just going to go and explode at some point? So that's quite interesting because I have no idea where it's going to go. That's quite nice.
Yeah, there's a bit of that going on in Gotham. Lots of threads of stuff going on, lots of groups of people, but they end up interrelating pleasantly but often surprisingly.
I would just warn listeners that Mindhunter is, you've got to have a strong stomach for it. They don't show, they say they show graphic stuff. They don't show that much graphic stuff. It's more the implication of it. There's a lot of murder and a lot of appalling murder and talk of it. And I did want to double lock the front door after I'd watched the last one.
And find an empty tub of utterly butterly.
Yeah, just anyway. Well, there you are. I mean, normally Benji and I decide what we're going to do the next week, but I suppose what can we do next week? We could do a commentary of a Doctor Who, or talk about a particular program. What could we set Benji to? Someone wrote in and suggested that we watch the first episode of old Captain Scarlet and the first 2 episodes of new Captain Scarlet, and spoke about those. Should we set that task?
Do exactly that. Yes,
that's what
I would love you to do.
To
that
him and tell him. Good.
Spectrum
Thanks,
is green.
Good.
See what I did there?
Gee.
On brand.
Well, and then what we have to do at the end, we have to get very close to the microphone.
Okay, like this. Yes.
Yeah, and say our goodbyes. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm forever in your debt.
Thanks for having me, Nick, and I look forward to Ben making me a nice Pepsi icy slush thing in the future.
It's goodbye from me.
Bye from me as well. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.